What if I told you you're not really in love? What if that heart-pounding, can't stop thinking about them feeling isn't what you think it is? What if it's not about them at all, but about you? Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, believed that love, real, passionate, can't live without you love, isn't what we've been sold by movies or romance novels. It's not just chemistry or fate. It's a mirror, a reflection of your past, your pain, your deepest hidden desires. Let me ask you something. Have you ever fallen so hard for someone that it felt almost out of your control? Like you were swept away by something bigger than yourself? Freud would say, that's not just love. That's your unconscious at work pulling strings you didn't even know existed. Today, we're diving into 3 hidden forces Freud believed secretly drive your love life, forces that explain why you fall for certain people, why love can feel so intense, and why it sometimes hurts so much when it ends. By the end of this video, you won't just understand love differently, you'll understand yourself differently. So, let's uncover these forces together. Are you ready to see love through Freud's eyes? Let's start with why love feels so familiar. Freud called this first force repetition compulsion. It's the idea that we're wired to recreate our childhood experiences, especially the ones that left a mark. Not because we want to suffer, but because deep down, we're trying to fix what went wrong. Think about your childhood for a second. Maybe you had a parent who was loving but inconsistent, one day warm, the next day cold. Or maybe you felt like you had to chase their approval, never quite feeling like you were enough. Freud would say, those moments don't just disappear. They become templates for how you love as an adult. Here's how it works. When you meet someone new, your unconscious scans them, not for their looks or their charm, but for something deeper, something that feels like home. But here's the catch. Home isn't always cozy. Sometimes it's a wound. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah grew up with a dad who was always busy. Work, travel, you name it. He'd promised to show up for her school plays, but half the time, he didn't. When Sarah started dating, she kept falling for guys who were charming but flaky. They'd make big promises, dinners, weekend trips, then cancel last minute. Every time she'd feel crushed, but also weirdly drawn to them. Why? Because their inconsistency felt familiar. It was her dad all over again. Freud would say Sarah wasn't just falling in love. She was chasing a second chance, a chance to finally get that unavailable person to stay, to prove she was worth it. So ask yourself, what does the person you're drawn to remind you of? Not physically, but emotionally. Are they warm but distant, critical but charismatic? Do they give you just enough to keep you chasing? Because here's what Freud believed. Love isn't just attraction, it's recognition. You recognize something unresolved from your past. And when you fall in love, you're not just loving them. You're trying to heal yourself through them. But here's the kicker. You can't fix the past by chasing the same patterns. You might think, this time, I'll get it right. But more often, you're just replaying the same script with a different actor. Sometimes, we don't fall in love with the person. We fall in love with the wound. Let that sit for a moment. Have you ever noticed a pattern in who you're drawn to? Someone who feels like they're straight out of your childhood? Hold on to that thought. We're going deeper next. Now, let's flip the mirror. Freud's second hidden force is called projection. It's a defense mechanism where you take something inside you, feelings, needs, desires you might not even be aware of, and you plaster them onto someone else. In love, this means you're not always seeing the other person as they are. You're seeing what you need them to be, your hopes, your fantasies, your version of perfect. Picture this. You meet someone new. Sparks fly. Suddenly, they're everything you've ever wanted. They get you, they're exciting, soulmate level magical. You're texting your friends, "This is the one." But Freud would lean in and whisper, "Hold up, that's not them, that's you." Let me share a story. Meet Alex. Alex had always felt a bit invisible growing up. Middle child, quiet, overlooked. When he met Mia, it was like a lightning bolt. She was confident, witty, the life of every party. Alex couldn't stop thinking about her. He'd tell everyone, "She's so special. She sees me like no one else does." But a few months in, things shifted. Mia wasn't as attentive anymore. She'd forget plans, brush off his calls. Alex was crushed. He kept thinking, "What did I do wrong?" But here's the thing. Freud would say Alex wasn't just in love with Mia. He was projecting onto her his deep need to be seen. Mia's confidence made him feel special for the first time. But when she couldn't keep up that role, the fantasy cracked. Projection is like falling in love with a movie screen. You're watching your own story play out, casting the other person as the star. And the more intense your feelings, the more you're obsessed with every text, every glance, the more likely it's projection at work. Think about a time you were head over heels. Did you build them up in your mind? Did you ignore red flags because they felt so right? Freud would say, that's your unconscious filling in the gaps. You're not just in love, you're intoxicated by your own reflection. But here's where it gets tricky. Projection isn't all bad. It's part of what makes love feel magical. The problem comes when the real person can't match the fantasy you've created. And when that happens, well, we'll get to that later. For now, ask yourself, who have I been projecting onto? What needs or dreams have I pinned on someone else? We've got one more force to uncover, and it's a game changer. Here's where it gets wild. Freud's third hidden force, the ego ideal. This one's not talked about as much, but it's a secret driver of who we love and why. Freud believed we all carry a mental image of the perfect version of ourselves, the ideal you. Maybe it's you as confident, successful, admired. Maybe it's you as adventurous, free, untouchable. Whatever it is, it's the you wish you could be. And sometimes we fall in love with people who seem to embody that ideal. Not because of who they are, but because being with them makes us feel closer to that perfect version of ourselves. Let's break it down with an example. Meet Priya. Priya grew up in a strict household, always following rules, never stepping out of line. Deep down, she dreamed of being bold, spontaneous, someone who lived life on her own terms. Then she met Ryan. Ryan was a free spirit, backpacking, quitting jobs to chase dreams, always laughing. Priya fell hard. Being with Ryan made her feel alive, like she was finally breaking free. But here's what Freud would point out. Priya wasn't just in love with Ryan. She was in love with what he represented, the bold, free version of herself she'd always wanted to be. Ryan validated her fantasy. He made her feel like she'd made it, like she was enough. This is why we chase certain people. The artist who makes us feel creative. The driven career type who makes us feel accomplished. They're like a shortcut to our ego ideal. We cling to them, not always out of love, but out of self-worth. But here's the tricky part. People aren't perfect. They're human. And when they stop reflecting that ideal, when the artist gets moody or the career type burns out, we don't just get annoyed. We feel betrayed. Not by them, but by the illusion we built. Let me share one more quick story. I had a friend who dated someone super charismatic, a social magnet. Everyone loved this guy. My friend said being with him made her feel important for the first time. But when he started pulling back, showing his insecurities, she didn't just lose interest. She was angry, like he'd tricked her. Freud would say she wasn't angry at him. She was angry at losing the version of herself she saw in him. So, think about someone you've loved. Did they make you feel closer to the you want to be? Did they boost your sense of worth? And when they let you down, how did that hit you? This force, the ego ideal, explains why love can feel like a high and why the crash can hurt so much. But we're not done yet. Let's talk about what happens when love falls apart. When love ends, it's not just a breakup, it's a reckoning. You're not just losing a person, you're losing your projection, your second chance at healing, your ego ideal. Let's go back to Sarah, Alex, and Priya. When Sarah's flaky boyfriend ghosted her, it wasn't just about him. It brought back every time her dad didn't show up. When Mia stopped being Alex's perfect match, he didn't just lose her, he lost the feeling of being seen. And when Ryan's free spirit vibe faded for Priya, she didn't just lose a partner, she lost the bold version of herself she'd tasted. Freud would say, "This is why heartbreak feels so raw. It's not just about the present, it's about your past, your wounds, your fantasies, all colliding at once." But here's where Freud offers a glimmer of hope. When the illusion breaks, when you see the cracks in the projection, the repetition, the ego ideal, that's when something real can begin. Because now, for the first time, you're seeing the other person as they are. Not as your parent you're trying to fix, not as a screen for your fantasies, not as a mirror for your ideal self. Just them. Flaws, quirks, messiness, and all. And if you can still choose to love them, not out of need, not out of wounding, but out of connection, that's different. That's not the intoxicating high of obsession. That's not chasing a ghost from your past. That's something grounded, something real. But getting there, it's not easy. It means facing your patterns, your projections, your ideals. It means asking hard questions about why you love the way you do. So, let's do that now. I'm going to give you some tools to figure out if your love is real or if it's something else entirely. Ready to test your love? Freud's theories aren't just ideas. They're a mirror for your own life. So here are 3 questions to help you see what's really driving your feelings. Grab a notebook, pause the video if you need to, and be honest with yourself. These might sting, but they'll set you free. Question 1. What does this person remind me of? Think about someone you've loved or love now. Do they feel like home or like a familiar wound? Maybe they're warm but unpredictable, like a parent was. Maybe they challenge you in ways that echo old insecurities. Write down what comes up. The patterns might surprise you. Question 2. How do you react when they disappoint you? When they pull away, cancel plans, or show their flaws, how does it hit you? If you feel crushed, betrayed, or like it's a personal attack, it might not be about them. It might be about what they represent: a wound, a need, an ideal. Notice your reaction. It's a clue to what's going on inside. Question 3. Who do I become when I'm with them? Do they bring out your real self, the messy, authentic you? Or do they make you feel like a fantasy version of yourself, confident, free, successful? If it's the fantasy, you might be chasing your ego ideal, not a real connection. These questions aren't a quick fix, they're a starting point. But once you start seeing the patterns, repetition, projection, ego ideal, you can't unsee them. And that's where the real work of love begins. Not in chasing illusions, but in building something honest. Take a moment. Have any of these questions sparked something for you? Maybe a memory, a relationship, a realization? We're almost at the end, but I want to hear from you before we wrap up. So, has love ever blindsided you like this? Have you ever fallen so hard it felt like a force you couldn't control, or looked back and realized it wasn't really about them at all? Freud's ideas, they're not just theories. They're a wake-up call, a way to understand why we love, why we hurt, and how we can love better. Not by chasing wounds or illusions, but by seeing people and ourselves for who we really are. If this video made you think, maybe even squirm a little, I'd love for you to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm diving deeper into the unconscious mind, Freud's wildest ideas, how they shape our lives, and what we can do about it, in more videos to come. And let's talk in the comments. Share a time you realized love was more about you than the other person. Maybe it was a projection, a wound, an ideal. What did you learn? I'll be reading and responding, so let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for watching. Take those questions, sit with them, and I'll see you in the next one.